I momentarily wanted to get on here just to emphasize something that needs to be made more blatant. Like I've emphasized in many segments, etc. It's so true that this was more of a satirical statement moving forward, but even on some contexts, like has been emphasized, all good jokes contain true shit, right? To some extent, whether it be this, that, etc., or even exaggerated or dramatized, like is justly due in Hollywood or etc. Beyond the scope of that, what I've suggested or illustrated previously, priorly, was just the whole ordeal that fucking, this world needs more blatancy, right? So to the extent of this, that, etc. But in a lot of confines, whether it be militaristic or even philosophical context of like what's been written by, great philosophers and etc. Is this whole ordeal that fucking, like Machiavelli suggested, right? No enterprise is more likely to succeed than one concealed from the enemy till it's ripe for execution, right? So that's a military, that's like got a lot of applications and a lot of context, but oftentimes that would be like business endeavors or like the advent of new creation, etc., and keeping it under wraps and hiding it from the competition or enemy, right? Whether it be this, that, etc. But in world economics, right, this shit is cutthroat as ever, right? People do cheat, people do lie, people do steal, right? So it's not confounded, right? But even beyond the scope of that, sometimes it is good to keep things under wraps until they're ready for execution. No one, like it's just like the chains of command, right? In a business structure of like a larger corporation or etc. or an organization of any sort, right? For what it's worth, people need to know what they need to know to do their fucking job to the maximum extent. And sometimes you got to be liberal in that context, but you don't want to be so liberal because people don't need to know more than they need to know, right? So that's the genuine truth, because that puts you at risk because some people can handle the information and some people can't, right? So that's just genuine truth. So always be sparing with information. And some people do talk, right? You all know the individual, right? Like like this is like more of a high school or younger, maybe like even on the girls' terms, etc. You know how the whole adolescence is, etc. But even beyond the scope of that, like you tell your girl tells her best girlfriend like a secret, right? And then like next thing you know, I'm not sure if like obviously high school students are allowed to drink, etc. But what's to say like even if she's older, etc. Whenever, right? Like what's to say like you have a couple beers, motherfuckers get really liberaled up, etc. And then obviously there's like an open fucking book out here. So and then it's like that telephone game, and things change too, etc. So I've always emphasized that telephone game. I played it as a child. Literally, it was in Miss T's class. The love of my life, right? One of my favorite teachers, besides all my other elementary favorite teachers, right? So it's also true. But I think it was in that class, or maybe it was Mr. S, etc. For what it's worth, right? Using acronyms, etc. But even beyond the scope of that, you sit around in a circle as a child, right? And you the first person comes up with like an adage or an axiom or just like a saying, like basketball is my favorite sport, or blue is the color of the sky or something. And then it goes around the circle, and I'm not sure if people are purposely changing it, but communication is such a hard to understand thing. A lot of it's like nonverbal, right? Like what you say with your body cues and etc. That's what it's been pronounced to myself. Like even 85% of communication is nonverbal, right? So it's open for debate, but that game always like was an emphasis. Even if it was like some kids are like not trying to actually play the game, they're just trying to have fun, so they might like change it on purpose. But if they weren't changing it on purpose, that goes to show like I would have to do research, etc. Maybe with adults, etc. Although they have maybe better communication because it's developed to a higher extent, higher tier, right? But that game really emphasized. I think people were cheating. I'm not so sure, but it's open for debate. But it goes around and it comes out like, let's say the first person started with the sky is blue, right? And then it goes around the 20 people, 20 students or 15 students, etc. Then when it gets back, they're like, what did the person say? He's like, basketball is my favorite sport or something. It changes to such drastic extent. So I don't know if that was purposefully or just the real barring challenge of communication, right? Because I'm trying to tell you something, you're trying to tell me something. But I mean, that's why I emphasize my quotation that the world needs more blatancy, because it's open for debate, right? But at the same token, it's also true that because that game shows like how the sentence structure changes completely agitatorily, and also to the extent of fucking subject wise, and also to the extent of this, that, etc. So it's not the end of the fucking world, but communication is sticky, right? So that's why people do study this type of shit, right? To the extent of like whether it be or just experience is the best teacher, if you ask me, because some of the best people able to implement that a presentation strategy, business or in sales or whatever type of ordeal there is. Sometimes formally, learned a little bit of the foundation, etc. But a lot of that shit you go get, right? Or you kind of got it, or like they say, man, you look in the mirror, either you got it or you don't. That's like a genuine, like, and that's not only in the context of like just physical appearance, right? I mean, sometimes like you work with what you got, right? So whether you have this or that, sometimes you gotta play your strengths, right? And what they've suggested, like, have you guys heard this? This is so freaking true. Like everybody knows, and I think girls emphasize this more than most men, etc. Everybody, because the human like aesthetics or symmetry is one of the universal things. Like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Like they say. But symmetry is a universal attraction feat for human species. Like no matter what religion or culture or demographic, etc., or what nationality, etc., right? So symmetry is an aesthetic contributing factor to that of beauty, whether it be this type of beauty, that type of beauty, etc. So that's one of the underlying. There was a couple others, I think, but for the most part, it's in the eye of the beholder, or the eye of the culture, or the eye of the demographic, or the eye of the nationality, right? So true. But even beyond the scope of that, everybody has, like, look, you see this, like, you know, a face, like, you know, don't look at my lopsided ass head for what it's worth, but even beyond the scope of that, fucking for sure, that everybody has like a line down the middle of their face, right? Not like theoretically, and one side of their face is different from the other side of their face. So everybody, like, you know, especially women, they emphasize that half of their face, whether it be the left side or the right side, right, that is the more aesthetically symmetrical side, right? So, oh shit, I'm losing my glasses. So that's like a funny feat I've saw emphasized, etc., and it's so true. Even for the men out there that are more oblivious to the whole ordeal of all this or that, etc. But so true. I heard that emphasized not only the symmetrical part about being like, you know, fucking an aesthetic feature of beauty in all cultures, right? But even beyond the scope of that, fucking everybody has the side they play, right? So like, you know, we'll keep it nameless for now, but obviously you already know how it goes, right? So. Back to the breadth of the conversation. What I want to get on here to emphasize was this whole shit about fucking. I mean, it's 2019. Like I've emphasized it every fucking morning for like not every morning, but like a predominant amount of mornings this past fucking several months. It's been my catchphrase, right? Besides all my other catchphrases, right? That come verbatim from intuitive speeches, etc., just impromptu, right? But in this impromptu segment, what I really want to get on here to suggest was this whole ordeal that 2019, let's get it. That's number one. Beyond the scope of just that, it's so freaking true that fucking, you know, I've been meaning to, you know, I've been so busy with like preoccupied with just trying to strengthen my mind strength, because there's nothing wrong with improvement, right? Like I've emphasized in my quotations, GabrielGriffin.com, it's a trajectory towards the future. Obviously, not quite of the highest caliber as of yet. Or maybe so, it's open for debate, right? Sometimes it's all open for trajection, because like I've suggested with every person I ever talked to, trajection is everything, right? There's companies that were, but like, you know, trajection is everything, like, because you could literally be banking the smaller revenue, etc., and then also have the trajection towards being the most powerhouse in the millennial age, or in the world economy, or even in your nationality or your locality or your field or discipline or whatever, right? So that's so true. Trajection is everything. And then to retrospect that, you guys remember the trajectory of the newspaper, New York Times, for instance, right? I can't remember the exact figures, etc., because it's been so long since I've heard about this, but the New York Times trajectory at one point was really, like, it was, you know, it went up, right? But then the trajectory came towards the decline of the PLC or whatever, right? So, or the life cycle, etc., right? So fucking, the company, the New York Times, I think it was really relatively one of the largest, right? So for what it's worth, I still like newspapers myself because it's kind of nice to hold, etc. But that's kind of an old school classical player type of, type of, like, you know, leather, like when you see this leather couch, like, you know, it's just like, you know, leather chair, etc. Then literally a newspaper, and then also your stogie if you were into that, but don't abuse it, but also enjoy yourself too for what it's worth. So I think it's open for debate. But all things in moderation, right? You don't want to abuse anything, whether it be anything, right? So sex, drugs, you know, this, that, etc., right? You want to take care of yourself because things get dangerous out here. It gets sticky, right? But even beyond the scope of that, what I was trying to emphasize is that the newspaper went from, what is it, $4 billion or like multi-billion to actually like 100 million, right? So that goes to show the trajectory, and it's only declining even more. It will always maybe stick around for some context, because what economy wants to be a fucking digital age where all we fucking read is fucking off computer screens? Although I like this digital learning, man. It just, like, because the relative ease of access, how it can, like, kind of equate to what you've learned and what you need to re-emphasize and re-concrete in your brain, it's so powerful. But obviously nothing takes the place of actual tutelage, etc. Because what's the fastest way to learn? I mean, the second fastest way to learn is this computer shit, but I mean, it's really fast. It depends on how, you know, I'm not gonna lie, you know, obviously it's open for debate, but obviously, whether it be a computer or tutelage from a person, etc. Because a computer is a tutelage from the person that made that computer, right? In a lot of contexts, or put the content on there, etc. But you ask a question, they tell you, boom, now you motherfucking know, right? So that's the fastest way to fucking learn. And a lot of us are out here learning by experience, right? And that's a good fucking way to learn too, but obviously it has the most perils for fucking mistakes, right? So as long as those mistakes aren't so costly and the value created over the length of the longer term is fucking greater, then that's wealth, right? So that's legit. Or the perceived. I like this word perceived. So you hear the word perceived, right? Perceived value, perceived cost, perceived wealth, right? So perceived is an underlined word because perceived is open for debate, because sometimes this might be more valuable to someone else than it is to someone else, right? So beyond the scope of this or that, it's fucking so true that fucking you know, like, it depends. Like, if you're fucking in the desert, a bottle of Fiji water, I shouldn't curse so loud, but if you're in the desert, right, a bottle of Fiji water is gonna be like freaking, and you're thirsty, you haven't drank in fucking multiple days, and you have money, then the value for a bottle of Fiji water, or even Kroger water, or any of these filtrated water, or water that's not gonna make you sick, right? For instance, like whatever, like your you know, regulated tap water, etc., right? That's not like Flint water or whatever. So what it's worth, like, if it's not gonna make you sick, that water is like worth more. It's like gold, right? Not that water's not already gold, etc., but it's like fucking you'll be willing, if the value, the perceived value of that water. But if you live in the freaking place, like, let's say you live in Fiji where you can just drink from the waterfalls all the time, right? I don't know if anybody lives in Fiji. I don't know so much about it, but this is just like analogical, right? A metaphor. If you live in Fiji where there's freaking waterfalls all the time and you can just go slurp off the fucking, I mean, this is goals lately, hashtag goals lately. I don't know if it's possible, but I'd fucking do it, baby. Like, I mean, etc. But you know, if you have access to clean water all the fucking time, then the value of water is not perceived to be as high, right? So, you know, that's the difference between the wealth that's created, like whether it be utility or actually physically, like monetary, right? So that's why this word, like, was so to be emphasized, like perceived. I just like emphasized that word and I underlined it. I was like, not really like literally, but like in my mind, and I'm telling you to underline it because it's so true. Because it's not cookie cutter. Everybody's utility isn't created from the same actual inputs, right? So everybody's wealth might be prospectively different because they have different inputs, right? So some people have wealth of freedom of time, right? Some people have wealth of just monetary, but they're a fucking slave to the work, right? And etc., right? So goes to show, I'm not telling you which is the best path. Obviously, like there's this philosophy I'm trying to learn about. It's about the good life, right? I think it's like, you know, I think at your fucking, if you're at a university, etc., you probably take a course on fucking something along the lines of, like, you know, a good life, right? Relatively, like, you know, it's open for debate, right? Contentious debate, but relatively contributing factors to that. And I've heard other progressives out here emphasize that good life because sometimes it's not all monetary, right? Sometimes it's not all free time because there's people on the streets, right, with a sign that says, "Will, you know, like, why lie? I need a beer," right, or something along those lines, right? So true, and they have a lot of fucking free time, but same token, that's maybe not the, you know, it's open for debate, but that's not maybe the best, like, you know, good life, etc. Because sometimes there's perils, this, that, etc. Right? So, and then again, in retrospect, there's people that have so much monetary gain, but they can't even have time to spend it, or relationships to spend it, or their body and health like deter so great. Like, so it's a contributing factor. That would be like the most quintessential examples as far as, like, you know, someone with a lot of free time with, like, you know, not like a lot of, you know, this, that, etc. And then also someone with freaking unlimited monetary, but they don't have the fucking relationships to make it feel great, or the fucking health to enjoy it, or the fucking even time, right? Because it's this, and sometimes the more you want to aim for the, like, the middle. Although it depends on your freaking structure, right? And especially if you love what you do, then fuck it, man. I mean, sometimes there's nothing rather you do than work, man, and that's kind of like a good place to be, honestly. Like, obviously you work, but then, like, you know, your the utility gain from your breaks with your loved ones, etc., is so beautiful too. But, and you can have a little bit every day, right? It's not always this, that, etc. It's not like you can't, you know, there's freedom in that too. So there's a wealth in that too. So this is getting a little bit haywire, but I'm just trying to emphasize the truth of the whole ordeal. That fucking it's all open for debate, baby. And look at the shirt. And there's a rap song. It says, been running the game so long, I should be wearing dry fit, and I've been just wearing dry fit all the time lately, like straight fucking goals lately, hashtag, right? But cigar right now, but that's it for now. Obviously, I wanted to emphasize that I'm going to get to it. Obviously, refurbishing the website, shrinking the files so they'll be fucking fast. I'm sorry. It was like fucking, I'm going to have it on fucking lazy mode, so it only loads the pictures you're fucking looking at, so it'll be even faster, bro. And now I'm going to shrink the fucking files, so it's fucking, I mean, I got these massive ass PNGs probably, or some fucking bullshit, bro, that needs to be shrunk. And it's all pretty easy, etc. I just haven't had time to get around to it, so obviously I'm going to speed this bitch up to maybe like, 2 seconds. And when it's like been loading the whole page, the whole website at one point, so I'm gonna have to fucking switch this shit up and also get some of the redirects more potent. And obviously still learning stuff, right? So it's half the battle. It's just like, fuck it, man. Like sometimes you do need to enjoy yourself, but you gotta fucking go get it too. So it's open for debate, bro. Or girl or woman or whatever, right? So obviously, like there's like shout out, this is a real shout out. If you made it to this far in the video, shout out Dick's Sporting Goods. The dude blessed me so good with some glasses, right? These glasses here, man. And I was meaning to write a review, so obviously this is a little bit of a review. Dick's is headed to good places, obviously in a lot of context, etc. Obviously, some quality merchandise there for what it's worth. But also, I'm gonna write a review of the actual person that did the service. Obviously, he was high caliber of the institution. Obviously, the force, whether that be your staffing or managerial, especially, because that's the highest authority in the store, etc. That's representative when there's a problem to be resolved, right? And the first line of defense is actually the staffing, etc. Right? So beyond the scope of that, like sometimes I feel that the face of your company should suit the company culture, right? And company and corporate and executive objectives, right? So I think they're succeeding in that facet. From the store I went to, obviously sometimes you go to a store and someone treats you unjustly, etc., or with lack of respect. You come in there treating everybody with respect, but someone slights you, then that's kind of like uncalled for to a lot of great extents, and that they should be eliminated, right? So I think that's just good business. To the extent that sometimes different cultures have different companies have different cultures, right? So sometimes the whole gist of the sales, like sometimes like some companies treat you this way, that way to do this, that, etc. So it goes into a breadth of freaking sales philosophy, right? So and company like kind of company exquisiteness, right? So open for debate, but obviously you look good. Blessings to you. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously I'm gonna get to it this week. I got a few things I gotta knock off, probably about 2-3 hours, and then I'm back to freaking totally sharing some YouTube videos with you guys with some more breadth of information in the emails, etc. So this is going straight to YouTube, I believe, because it's 17 minutes. I don't have anywhere else I can really justly put it. So for what it's worth, obviously, what a blessing. SSM is big. Still to emphasize a lot of the how big I've emphasized because I'm a fucking a futurist or a fucking optimist or also a fucking a millennial too, right? Damn millennials. But beyond the scope of that, I've always emphasized I'm always trying to take everything so strictly fucking online. But in the real world out here, the still predominant majority of transactions and shit is like a real majority is done in brick and mortars, but also a real even more majority is decided or deciphered in brick and mortars, even if the order is placed online, etc. So that's the importance of brick and mortars in a lot of contexts, or even not your own brick and mortars, but using someone else's infrastructure. So that's what I must emphasize. And sometimes that comes down to partnership deals, whether it be internationally, obviously, like I've said, once upon a time, literally, if you're not dealing with people from different nationalities, obviously, whether that be holistically, creatively, or just input wise, right? Even if you're in your own small locality, etc. You're not dealing with people from other nationalities. You're not the plug. You don't know the plug. And you're really going to suffer out here because it's hard to find competitive advantage without working with other people, right? So that's the beauty of partnerships. That's all for now. I can't think of anything else off the top of my fucking head. But fucking enjoy yourself, enjoy life, be thankful for blessings. This power comes from books, man. This power comes from books. This power comes from relationships. And the power comes from transparency in a lot of contexts, literally, and traject. So traject. You could be down low, really, but if you have the traject, you're reading every day, you're working your ass off, you're building those relationships. You're always striving, then you have a high trajectory, right? A high trajectory. You fucking staying on point as far as accounting, getting better, still learning this, that shit. And like that song says, I was just bumping this song yesterday. It's by Russ. It's called Do It Myself. He's like, fuck it. Everybody's scared. Everybody's pussy. Fuck it. I'll do it myself. No one wants to help. Fuck it. I'll do it myself. No one wants to work. Fuck it. I'll do it myself. And sometimes there's power in that because, you know, it's so fucking true. What Einstein might have illustrated is just the whole ordeal that he's like, I'm thankful. I thank God people told me no. I thank God people told me no, or they wouldn't help me or whatever, right? To create the illusion. Because it's because of them, only because of them, I was strong enough to do it myself, right? So without a little bit of a couple of reflection points, whether it be good or bad, sometimes you wouldn't be strong enough. Not that you're not strong enough, you wouldn't have the strength or goodwill, obviously, to without like positive encouragement or without someone like telling you like they wouldn't help you, right? Those are the two motivating factors of a reflection point to literally fucking make you go out here 2019 and go motherfucking get it. So that's what I'm about, man. Well, like, fuck it, man. Like, you know, especially when motherfuckers deter you, especially like you wanted some help doing, like, you know, building this application, and motherfuckers are talking, like, you know, obviously there's different realms out here, etc. But motherfuckers like 100 bands or etc. Or even like to lesser extent, sometimes, you know, it's an international market out here, you know, like, you know, but I mean, obviously you get what you pay for to some extent, but sometimes when you're in the infancy of a startup, sometimes you don't, you know, one of your, you know, businesses don't always fit, like most businesses, especially in a market like this, whether it be Trump's doing or fucking Obama's, the aftermath of Obama's, like, what is it, quantitative easing and all these low interest rates, even if they're going higher, they're fucking low for the most part. You don't even know what the fuck is up. So even beyond the scope of that, fucking lack of money is usually not the fucking, like, you can throw money at all your problems, but that's not gonna make them go away always necessarily. Sometimes there's actually resolves that take a little bit of fucking legwork or footwork or relationship building, etc., or just like, etc. So true. So even beyond the scope of fucking that, money's usually not the fucking sole problem. Obviously, the more money, the better. But you know, you already know, like, sometimes there's, you know, that's where ingenuity comes in, right? You think you're the first, you know, I mean, for what it's worth. So open for debate, but. And it's not the same story for everybody, because some people really are, like, you know, down on their luck, piss poor decisions, etc. But I think that fucking can't even remember what I was saying, but obviously I'm off of here now. For what it's worth, go get it. But oh yeah, this is what I was saying. You know, fuck it, like someone telling you, like, you know, it's gonna cost so much to do this, and etc. Then you find a way to resolve it, right? Whether it be doing it yourself or fucking, you know, building the relationships to get it done yourself, or working those fucking 3 hard years to fucking have the affluence or influence or power to fucking make it happen, right? So, you know, knowledge and acuity, knowledge and relationships, knowledge and specialization, knowledge and breadth of information, right? Knowledge and fucking resource, right? And knowledge and fucking capital too. And capital is, just like they say, human capital, whether that be this, that, etc., or fucking, you know, access to resources, or actually physically, like, tools, like fucking computers and fucking tractors, motherfucker, and motherfucking humidors, or, like, you know, etc., right? So true, man. That's fucking a lot of power in that shit. So, you know, that's all I'm gonna share with you for now, but. Man, you know, I had some Alfredo. I told them, I think it was Alfredo. I said, oh no, I think I was at the airport. Literally, I had some fucking, quesadillas, bro. Steak quesadillas. I told her, I said, make you want to kiss your teeth, baby. And I love quesadillas, man. I love fucking fajitas and quesadillas and pasta and Alfredo and fucking hamburgers and French fries. That's pretty much all I need in my life right now. Like, I mean, besides all the other great stuff out there. I mean, I haven't so been introduced, but maybe I'm a simple man. But I mean, that shit's just fucking. Blow your brains out, baby. So, mouth on the pistol, blow your brains out. All right, thanks again. I mean, that's a kind of like a joke. So I'm not telling you to do anything like that. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of been my catchphrase, as you denoted, right? So, duly noted. Get to it, man. Nothing else but to do it, man. No time to chitter chat. No time to bullshit. Bullshitting is not admirable, like I've emphasized on so many tweets. And fuck it, go get it. And I gotta fucking get to it. I gotta write this review for this dude, because literally I promised him I would, and it's been several days. And people think like I forgot about him, but I never forget. So sometimes I might be like a fucking week later. I told you I was gonna do it, but then it might be a week later, and then I'll write the review, and this shit will blow your fucking mind, baby. So sometimes I'm just letting the fucking anticipation build, and I'll fucking really tell the truth and give you some trajectory to fucking not only the truth about the managerial and also some of this, et cetera, but also sheer testament to this, that, et cetera. So obviously I appreciate everybody blessing me. So, you know, blessings go around, and obviously trying to create the trajectory. Obviously sometimes, you know, you're almost there, but you got to keep going, right? So it's a new generation, man. But at the same token, respect to your parents, right? Whether they did a lot of bullshit, that shit, etc. You know, honor thy father, right? So, you know, and that goes to, you know, et cetera. So, and sometimes that, you know, it doesn't have to be like a close relationship, even, etc. But so true that you gotta be thankful for what you've been fortunate enough to be able to maybe traject for yourself, right? And a lot of props goes to you, right? So that's it. That's all for now. Let's live richer, fuller, more prosperous, more fulfilling lives. With time, obviously, it's inevitable. Obviously, work the right relationships. Obviously, go get it. Fuck it, man. Impromptu for you. So blessings to you. All right, peace.